There is something about butter that really changes your mood and calms you down literally instantaneously. I'll get into that more. But I think the taste of butter is just one of the best things about the carnivore diet. And it says it is 8 ounces, 227 grams. So 1 stick of butter would be half of this block. But there have been many days during the 30-day experiment where I ate this entire block. I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, why did I want to do this? Why did I want to eat 1 stick of butter a day for 30 days? My biggest inspiration to do this was actually Dr. Elizabeth Bright. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are not surprised because I've now filmed 2 videos featuring Dr. Bright and focusing on the high-fat carnivore lifestyle, because Dr. Bright explains it beautifully why you should consider eating more animal fats. Does it have to be butter? Obviously not. I know a lot of my sensitive carnivores cannot tolerate butter. Tallow is just pure beef fat, and this is a great option, probably the most gentle option for my sensitive carnivores who either have autoimmune issues that they are healing or who just cannot tolerate the small amounts of lactose in butter. Another option is ghee. Ghee is an excellent option that is most similar to butter. It has that milky, creamy flavor, but it is clarified butter. And ghee is also great because you can cook it at really high temperatures. So I usually use ghee as a cooking oil whenever I want to scramble up some eggs or make a delicious omelet. So how was I able to implement 113 grams of butter every single day? I actually found it quite simple because I leaned on the hack of snacking it as a cold fat snack. So basically all throughout the day, every single day for the past 30 days, I would just take it out of my fridge and snack on it alone, straight up pure butter as a snack. So let's take a look at my cholesterol numbers real quick. I've even put it side by side with my numbers from when I was on the vegan diet. The true markers of heart health are HDL and triglycerides, specifically your triglyceride to HDL ratio. To summarize, ideally you want your HDL to be above 70 and your triglycerides to be below 70. And if you take a look at my carnivore numbers, you can see just how drastically improved they got. I have a 98 for my HDL and my triglycerides are 15. Even my doctor was incredibly impressed with how low my triglycerides are. So there you go. I'm not going to have a heart attack. I also topped it on all of my meals, and I like to enjoy butter cold, chilled, or at least solid room temperature. I personally just prefer the mouthfeel and the flavor of solid cold butter. And also keep in mind, I've been carnivore for almost 4 years now. I've always eaten a very high-fat carnivore diet since day 1. And before I was carnivore, I was actually struggling with a lot of health concerns, lots of skin issues. For some reason, my body literally screamed out for butter every single day the moment I started eating animal foods. It was literally guiding me and telling me just how much fat I needed. So I personally do feel very lucky that I had such strong signals from my body when I first started. I also want to share that when I first started the carnivore diet, I didn't have a cycle at all. And that was due to 6 years of eating the vegan diet before that. I completely wrecked my hormones. No matter how much I ate, I was still hungry. I was struggling with bloating, digestion issues. My skin was not getting better. My first carnivore meal was actually scrambled eggs with butter. And I still remember to this day how I felt upon eating those first bites of animal foods. After 6 years of not eating it, it literally felt like I was coming back to life, and it was truly instantaneous. The benefits and the changes in how I felt in that moment. So I kind of just went with the flow when I first started carnivore, although I did struggle with weight gain. I experienced this ravenous hunger, and I couldn't stop thinking about eating more butter, more fatty meats. At the same time, it was very scary because I honestly felt like no matter how much I ate, I would never be full. I would never be able to stop eating. But after 4 years of being in the carnivore community, I really feel like this tends to happen to women who have a lot to heal, who have had a history of yo-yo dieting, of restricting, of binging, definitely to those who were on the plant-based, vegan, vegetarian diet. I find especially for women like that, we just have to go through that temporary weight gain to really balance the hormones, to heal everything we need to, and to relearn our body's signals, our hunger signals. So just to give you guys a quick summary of my first 6 months of carnivore, eating 1 to 2 sticks of butter every single day, I brought back my cycle within the first 2 to 3 months. So that was probably the biggest victory. And to this day, I still have a normal, healthy cycle. My skin took a little bit longer for me to see and feel drastic improvements, but I struggled with rosacea, acne, and eczema, and that all got better as well. I saw noticeable improvements and benefits after 6 months of consistent high-fat carnivore eating. And I think with skin, it just takes a little bit longer to heal and to see improvements. One of my favorite benefits of eating butter is I don't have sugar cravings. I feel this sense of freedom from food. And before going carnivore, I literally felt like I was a slave to food. I was chained to eating, to thinking about food 24/7. So there was never a moment where I could just 100% focus on something, anything besides food, the act of eating, cooking, what to eat next, what I should buy next for my grocery list. And I did not feel any sense of freedom from food at all until I started eating high-fat carnivore. So I personally feel this incredible sensation of satiation when I eat pure animal fats. And just know, whenever I mention butter, it can easily be replaced with any animal fat. Beef fat, tallow, ghee, just straight up fatty meats. The fat in meat is just as beneficial. So here's what I implemented the past 30 days, which I feel like is quite different. I usually eat OMAD or 2MAD, 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day. And I typically will eat 2 meals a day during the week leading up to my period and all throughout my period. Why? Because my appetite tends to increase and I start wanting more fat than usual. So I just listen to my body. I feed it what it wants. I want to just focus on nourishing my body, making my hormones as happy as possible. And the rest of the month, I'll eat 1 meal a day. I typically eat my 1 meal a day early evening. Some days when I'm working long days, I will eat a little bit later, but I like to eat in the evening just because I enjoy the mental clarity of being fasted. I actually incorporated fat fasting where it was super gentle and doable. So on the days where I ate OMAD, 1 meal a day, and that one meal would be around evening, like 5, 6 p.m. The whole day before eating that meal, I would be fat fasting. So I would be eating nothing but pure fat. And when you eat pure fat like butter, tallow, ghee, lard throughout the day, that does not break your fast. So you still get to feel all of the benefits of fasting, but it is so gentle on your body. It is still so nourishing for your hormones. I would be snacking on butter throughout the day. I just ended up eating pure butter, and again, butter straight out of the fridge as a fat snack about 2 times throughout the day. For each of those fat snack moments, I would be eating about 1/3 of a stick of butter. Sometimes it ended up being 1/2 a stick of butter because I just kept snacking on it. It was delicious. I wanted more. And I would stop snacking on that butter when the butter stopped tasting appetizing. So that's a really simple way to understand how much butter you should be eating. End my day with a delicious, fatty, proper carnivore meal. And during that carnivore meal, I would be topping even more cold butter on all of the meats that I cook up. I would be using the ghee to cook up any eggs that I may have cooked up, like scrambled eggs, omelets. I love eating my meat with a side of eggs. So there's almost always more animal fat in my egg dishes as well. And there's also fat in my fatty meats. So after each day of eating, not only have I fulfilled that 1 stick of butter a day goal, so 113 grams, but on top of that, I also have the fat in my meats, the ghee in my eggs. So I probably ate about 180 plus grams of fat every single day for the past 30 days. I have all of the most noticeable results on my phone, so I'll be going through each of the points that I listed. First, my mood. I noticed my mood was very stable, and I felt my mood was the calmest and most sedated almost when I was having those pure fat snacks. Like Dr. Bright always says, when you eat animal fats, you are literally lowering and stabilizing your cortisol, and I physically felt that with my mood. That's why I time my cold butter snacks during the moments where I may be a little bit higher stress. So let's say I'm about to host a whole day of meetings. Right before I jump on that first meeting, I will be eating my first cold butter fat snack. And that really helped stabilize my mood. Next thing all the butter really impacted was my sleep. So quality of sleep and the length of sleep that I needed. Now, I personally am a night owl. I tend to sleep at like 1 or 2 a.m. That's when I feel my most productive and efficient. But when I started having more butter, I wanted to sleep earlier. And when I sleep earlier, I obviously get to wake up earlier. So I do feel like eating more fat really resets our circadian rhythm. I didn't have to force myself to sleep earlier. I just started feeling calmer, ready to unwind, and ready to go to bed about 3 to 4 hours before I usually sleep. When I'm eating all that butter throughout the day as fat snacks, at the very end of the day, when I cook up my fatty carnivore proper meal, I actually did not need to eat as much fatty meat as I usually would need when I was not fat fasting. So before this 30-day experiment, I would typically eat 2 to 2.5 pounds of meat, and comparing it to this past 30 days where I did the fat fasting throughout the day, and at night when I did sit down to eat meat, I definitely noticed I only needed 1 to 1.5 pounds of meat. And the first thing that I was happy about when I observed that was, oh yay, I get to save money. Fat is what keeps you up. The fat you eat keeps your body stable. It turns off the cortisol reaction and bridges the gap between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Just look at what fat does for the body. It makes cells grow and creates new ones. It organizes them into tissues and organs. It activates adrenaline, turns on the immune system, and turns off autoimmune reactions. It synthesizes serotonin, eliminates toxins, and it makes adrenal cortex hormones, thyroid hormones, testosterone, estrogen, and vitamin D. So first, some background. I got my cycle back after not having it for 2 years within just 3 months of eating as much as I wanted on the carnivore diet. And it really shocked me, the fact that I got my period back so quickly. But I really do, again, credit it to eating 1 to 2 sticks of butter every single day when I first started carnivore. And on top of that, I ate up to 5 meals every single day. I was always loading up on food, nutrition, energy to really promote that quick healing, to make my body feel comfortable to bring back my cycle. However, when my cycle came back, it did not stay regular. There were months where it came extra early, and there were other months where it came very late. My period this past month's experiment was only 5 days long. Oh, and I did not experience an increase in appetite at all. I had very stable, similar levels of appetite all throughout the month. So that's another interesting observation. I think when you're always feeding your body animal fats throughout the day, every single day, your body doesn't have to go through those spikes and dips, even when they're minimal, of appetite. And again, that could be translated from stable cortisol levels, where there is really no dramatic spikes and dips in cortisol. That is something that Dr. Bright really advocates, is to really lean on the animal fats, eat it throughout the day to keep that cortisol level nice and stable. Another interesting thing that I did want to highlight from my second interview with Dr. Bright is utilizing butter or any animal fats right before bed to promote better sleep and to help you fall asleep. And I would say about 30 minutes to 1 hour before you are ready to go to sleep, try having a couple bites of butter to really trigger your body to relax and unwind, stabilize that cortisol, and to get your body ready to go to sleep.